for how hard they play and how they defend, and rightfully so, but they are really fast on offense. I mean, they're really getting up and down the court. Certainly when you've got two forwards like they have with Kochar and Silva, and the way that they have played throughout their career, and certainly came on the national scene when they went to the Final Four, and they've done nothing to get better. But their guard play, Gravitt, Campbell, the freshmen, the young players that they have, they're playing at a high level. I mean, it's not an accident that they're having the success that they're having in the league. And when you've got that kind of fearlessness on defense, and when you have that kind of toughness level, and then you bring that speed offensively, it makes them incredibly dangerous. So we know we've got another really, really hard battle coming in front of us. The guys were great yesterday. We were off Wednesday. But everybody's been excited. We'll practice today, and we'll look forward to the game, and I think we'll have another great crowd. But we're getting an indoctrination as a staff every day in this league, you know, and what you think you knew from before, right? And I've coached against Frank when he was at Kansas State and I was at Marquette. We scrimmaged each other one year, but I never coached against him at South Carolina or as a or since that scrimmage. But you think you know a team and you watch them, and then all of a sudden you really dive in and study them, and you just realize how good a coach he is, how great a staff he has. He's got a former guy on his staff that's one of my best friends again, Chuck Martin, who was on our staff at Indiana. Not only a great coaching friend, but a great friend, family friend. His wife, my wife, best of friends. And so, you know, that adds to it. But then the more you dive in and watch it, you just really, really see how strong a program they have. And you get even more of an appreciation for it. So that's how I feel, and we're going to have to play extremely well to compete in this game.
Are you getting particularly hungry or frustrated in any way? Obviously, you knew this was going to be a rebuilding situation this year, but the reality of it can always crash in on you a little bit.
Oh, yeah, but I think the reality is then that's up to you, how you approach it every day. And my energy is high on that. And fortunately, I'm surrounded by other people that share in that energy. You can't take over a program, or you can't sustain a program without having a high level of energy and people that are on the same page. And that page is the commitment to improving your team. And that means individually, which we spend a lot of time on, and that means as a team. And I think when you're driven by that, you can't help but get better. And I know it's not reflecting all the time on our record right now, but I do see us getting better. I mean, there's no question about it, and I hope other people do too. But frustration, you know, I tell the players this. I've used this line for a long time. I don't remember where I heard it, but it's true. You know, once you hit the 5th grade, you can't get frustrated anymore, right? Now you're moving on into other things, and so like we don't. I don't ever try to coach like that. Now demanding, getting angry about that, yeah, it's a driven business. I mean, it's competitive, and you want to help people be better. But it's a truth zone. You know, you go into the film room, you go into the practice court. It's about telling the truth, but it's also about here's how we get better, right? And it's not about what we're not doing or what we can't do. It's about what we have to be able to do and what we're going to be able to do. And that's how I try to coach every day. And that's how I watch the film. That's how I game plan. That's how I try to recruit. That's how we try to operate it. And I think if you do it any other way, all you're doing is bringing a lot of other people down, starting with yourself. And I have no interest in that. So,
how much of that is instilling your system and playing for the long game with what you want to do, rather than
you mean like with the improvement?
Do this to beat Arkansas.
Oh, it's a good mix. You got to have a mix. You got to have a real mix to this. But I think the improvement's the cornerstone of the program. It's got to be. I mean, because we can talk as coaches till we're blue in the face about, you know, getting ready for this game or that game and game planning and doing all those kind of things. If your team, if your individual players don't feel like they're getting better or like there is a process to get them better, they're going to lose energy. You know, already the toughest thing in any game, okay? Communication's hard. Playing through fatigue is hard. There's a lot of things that are hard. The number one, by far and away, in my opinion, thing that's hard for people in a game is when they have disappointment, when they have failure in a game. How do they respond to that? How do they come back? Well, you got to have a way to come back from that. You got to have you got to focus on their skills. There's got to be like a belief that they're going to make the next shot, or a belief that they're going to get open again. And so I think with that outweighs anything that you do to schematically prepare for the game, even though you got to do a lot with that, because you got to get their minds right that they can overcome things. And that's the mix. So like, here's an example. Yesterday, Yesterday was a little longer than it would be this time of year because we were almost an hour truly just on individual, well, some team skills, but shooting, driving, cutting, getting through contact, defensive footwork, not just team shell drill or team scrimmaging. That came out after, but just continuing to build their skills. So in turn, it's to help us now, but at the end of the day, it's to continue to make the program better all the way across the board, because we're not going to get where we want to go if our footwork isn't get better. We're not going to get where we want to go if our shooting and the mechanics of the shooting and the moving without the ball don't get better. We're not going to get better if we don't guard the dribble better. We're not going to get better with those things. And then you go in and you compete and you try to bring something out of it and get ready to do it again the next day. So I think it's always a mix. And I learned that such a long time ago working for the coaches that I worked for. Ralph Willard when I was at Western Kentucky. Tom Izzo certainly at Michigan State, you know, had that same philosophy going all the way back to when I was growing up in college. Ralph Pym at Alma College and Denny Kuiper at Mount Pleasant High School. I was very, very fortunate to be around people that were very, very good game coaches, very much centered on getting ready for the game, but never got away from how important it was that the individual player improved throughout the season. Long answer, but that's a good comment. It's the truth, yeah. Huh?